John Cena just became a Grand Slam champion, winning the Intercontinental title. We also have the Last Time Is Now tournament with most of the participants figured out. Let's talk about the tournament and the title win on Raw. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Assemble. My name is Matt. Good to have you. I'm back. It's a fresh video, fresh episode here for you. I just got back from Disney. I lost my whole savings is just gone. It's just everything is gone. The one thing I was able to watch though when I was away was going to be John Cena IC title win against Dom Mysterio. Now, what did you think of the entire segment and how they did this? Triple H opened it up. He came out and he told, "I'm objective. I can see everything. I know what's best for business. Everything could suck at Sledgehammer." Right, one thing with Triple H coming out. Interesting notes. There were some what chants. There was a little bit of boos. There were even crowd signs that were not popular Triple H. But in large part, everyone was happy in Boston to see him. I did like Triple H's whole speech about how he is like the most objective person, and I said objective person, in all of this to say who is the GOAT. It borderline sounded like he was going to talk about himself, about how he is GOAT. But from talent in ring and promos and charisma, everything else that comes along with it, Triple H apparently knows what's best for everybody. But anyways, this brought out John Cena. I like that we got both in the ring. Dom Mysterio interrupts. Dom, you know what? I've seen this in comments too. Some people are like, I am sick of Dom. I'm over Dom. I'm like, we need new stars. Like, we all clamor for new stars. People getting elevated. Dom's getting elevated. For me, at least, I'm here for it. I like that Dom's coming out, and you know what's interesting is that in the last few months with Dom Mysterio, he has not been on the microphone doing the promos where, he comes out and he gets booed instantaneously. They've been doing just matches for Dom, IC title defenses, and he's picking up the screwy victories. And I like all of that, and I've liked all of Dom's work right now. I'm glad that he's back on the microphone. So interrupting Cena is wonderful. And for Triple H to just say basically, "Are you ready?" And then they have the match. The match itself, I thought was good. I thought it was a lot of fun. I like the chair spot when they're both falling on the floor, and then John Cena just does an obnoxiously cartoonish wink to Dom Mysterio, and going for the 619, the frog splash. What I did like though was how they built the match, in that you did get the false finishes, like when you have the ref bump, and when you do have Dom trying to go for the title belt shot, you do have little moments in there where it felt like Dom was actually going to retain by doing what he normally has done. For John Cena to win the IC title, I put it in other videos of like, who could be final opponents for John, and could he face Dom Mysterio? I thought maybe they could do that at War Games. The fact that they did this in Boston, I think was great, and giving him the big win, giving him the IC title win, I loved it. I thought it was tremendous. It's in Boston. He won a title. What do they do with the Intercontinental title is going to be very interesting to me, because is he going to hold on to it all the way to the end in December? Is he going to drop it to somebody new? Is it going to get vacated? But please comment below. What did you think of the match itself? Did it work for you, brother? I like what this does with the Intercontinental title, to be honest. John Cena came off of winning and dropping the Undisputed Championship, and not that that needed elevating by any means, but he cracked that victory and got that accolade, and now he's got the other accolade finished of being a Grand Slam champion, winning the Intercontinental title. Do you think that this will help elevate the IC title? I like that this could have the potential to elevate it and elevate other younger talent, which we'll talk about, because there are some surprises that could come into play. There are some younger talents that could get showcased. Will it do anything in a month to help elevate it? He's got 3 appearances left. Presumably, he's going to be IC champion from now to the end. And the next time John Cena is going to show up is on Raw in Madison Square Garden, and we have tournament matches happening there too. Does Cena defend and lose the IC title in Madison Square Garden? Or does he hold it all the way to December? It's interesting, but I wonder if this will help elevate that belt just a little bit, so we could just get a little boost right now. So let's talk about the tournament bracket and who's advancing, what matches we could see and are planning to see. So Rusev defeats Damian Priest on Raw, and Rusev is going to advance in the tournament. I don't know how this does for Damian Priest. Like, he was over on SmackDown, and I feel like Damian Priest is in this odd, just nebulous world right now, where he's kind of getting involved with Drew again, maybe with Aleister Black again. He's got the eye thing, and Cody. Now, if it means that Damian Priest is going to get slightly elevated into the undisputed title scene, that's interesting. I don't see him playing in that realm all that much. Him losing to Rusev just doesn't help Priest very much. But again, I think they just needed somebody that's going to be a strong competitor against Rusev. Rusev winning is interesting because you do have the United States Championship history of Rusev and John Cena. And there's a lot of callbacks there. And if you really wanted to boost Rusev up, I mean, he could go to the finals, but I don't see Rusev making it that far. Then we also had Sheamus going up against Nakamura, and Sheamus against John Cena, something that we could see, and Sheamus not winning the IC title. It's the one title that evades him. There's a great story built in there, obviously, with the history of Sheamus and John Cena, and Sheamus getting that final championship. Here's the thing, though, with Sheamus. Now, it does mean also that we're probably, we're going to get Rusev versus Sheamus again. I thought their last match, the whole brawl that they did, I thought that was great. And I think that the two of them could just put on another banger match because we know that they can do it. Sheamus could have a really interesting story along the way, just for a month. This is Sheamus's chance to try and tell that little linear story of, I'm trying to get that belt. And the only way I can do that is go up against, my longtime rival in John Cena. And he's got to try and scratch and claw his way to get there. It's a babyface kind of story for Sheamus. I like that story for Sheamus, and I hope he does advance and maybe he beats Rusev, but it remains to be seen. Then you got other tournament bracket matches. Okay, on SmackDown, we are going to be getting LA Knight versus mystery opponent and another first round match, The Miz versus Jey Uso. Let's talk about The Miz first because I want to save LA Knight for a second. Miz versus Jey. In my eyes, what I see is a crap finish where you're going to have maybe Carmelo Hayes comes out to try and get involved to screw over The Miz. Do you want Jey Uso to advance to the tournament? I don't think that's very interesting. We know that we're going to be building to War Games for Jey, Cody, and Punk, and two other people that eventually they'll figure it out. Cena might be one of those people in War Games as well. We'll talk about that too towards the end. With Jey, though, I don't see Jey winning. I want The Miz to win because you want to be kind of thrusting new talent and maybe old existing talent that have history with Cena. And The Miz is definitely somebody with history with John Cena. Now, Carmelo Hayes and The Miz have their whole thing going on. I can see Carmelo trying to get involved in this, trying to stop The Miz, but I can also see WWE wanting to get the Vision and the War Games match and that story pushed further and given it a little bit more heat. The way to do that, in my eyes, is that you're going to have the Vision come out. It just, shocking idea. The Vision comes out and gets involved in a Jey Uso match. It's something we've never seen before. Can you taste the sarcasm coming out of my mouth? I think that they are going to get involved. They're going to screw over Jey. The Miz is going to get the victory. The Miz is the bad guy too, so if Jey gets hit by Braun Breaker, ringside something, the ref gets knocked, and The Miz is able to crawl over, skull-crushing finale, he hits Jey and gets the victory, and The Miz moves on. You could then even just have Carmelo Hayes at post-match attack The Miz, but to get The Miz to move on, you could have Carmelo maybe screw The Miz the following week. But I'd like to see The Miz win. Give him a little bit of a promo time. Talk about the history with John Cena. There's so much there, and I think it'd be cool and kind of leaves a little bit of a teaser of Miz versus Cena, something for the IC title potentially, and it's something that we could revisit and be fun. But let's talk about this LA Knight, versus mystery opponent on SmackDown. Okay, couple of things here with LA Knight. Is LA, and I get this in the comments a lot because people are like, oh my god, he's talking about LA Knight again. I'm not doing another LA Knight video, but is LA Knight kind of buried? I don't like using the word buried because we assume when somebody is not getting pushed the way the internet wants them to be pushed, that they're instantly buried. However, what is interesting with LA Knight right now, we saw this on Raw. He did the promo and it was during a commercial break. He didn't have an in-ring promo. It wasn't even really televised. It was on Netflix during an ad. And not only that, LA Knight did his whole promo and he got cut off from the commercial break. He didn't even finish his whole rant about John Cena and everything else. And he was fired up. He had passion. He talked about wanting the world title. Like he was giving so much in this non-televised commercial break promo, and it was cut off, man. Is WWE pushing LA Knight aside right now? I don't think it's the right move to do. What I saw in that promo he did on Raw during the commercial break, I saw so much passion and just like momentum being squandered and wanting to get to that world title. It's something I'm like, he should be in War Games. And if he's going after John Cena in the Intercontinental title, cool. Now, he's not a young spring chicken by any means. Is LA Knight versus Cena in the finals the match you want to see? And you give LA Knight the Intercontinental title? I think with LA Knight's story right now, in the last several months, he's supposed to be going for the world title. At least he's trying to go for a title. That's something. But have they been really kind of downplaying LA Knight? This feels a little bit like Karrion Kross. LA Knight was getting momentum. LA Knight getting pushed a lot. And at least to hardcore audiences, they're not feeling Jey Uso so much. and they're pushing and wanting LA Knight more. LA Knight goes on Raw that one week, and when he does his entrance, he grabs the sign, and it was whatever it said, LA Knight over Jey Uso, and he's pointing at the camera, which is backstage, and go to Triple H and be like, hey, they're talking about me, brother. And then after that, not much LA Knight. The question mark is going to be, who's his opponent? It's mystery opponent, which tells me WWE doesn't know who they want to use right now. And does LA Knight lose this qualifying match? So who could LA Knight's opponents be on SmackDown? I don't think it's going to be anybody within WWE main roster. Joe Hendry versus LA Knight, or could you do LA Knight versus Matt Cardona? Cardona popping up in NXT. There's history of Cardona and John Cena that we could pull back from. Whether it's Cardona or Joe Hendry, that gives them so much more exposure. I kind of feel like it would be Joe Hendry versus LA Knight and not Cardona on SmackDown. Cardona coming from Long Island, they're going to be in Madison Square Garden on Raw on Monday night the following week. So I kind of think it's a good positioning if you have Joe Hendry show up on SmackDown and he goes up against LA Knight. You got I Believe in Joe Hendry versus the Yeah. That could be an interesting matchup. The thing is, whoever it is against LA Knight, the mystery opponent, is LA Knight going to lose? If Joe Hendry shows up and he fights LA Knight, I got to think Hendry's going over to advance because he'll get a massive pop. Yes, you have two baby faces, but that's a way to showcase someone like Hendry to a main roster crowd. Yes, he had the match at the squash match at WrestleMania, and he got over huge in those few seconds. Do you have like a proper 10-minute match against LA Knight? And if LA Knight loses, what's he doing next? It feels like then he has nothing to go into War Games. He won't be at Survivor Series, period. I gotta say, I'm a little worried, especially for a guy, and I mentioned like Karrion Kross, feels a little bit like that, where crowd's popping, crowd wants him, they're cheering for him huge, and he's getting commercial time, like non-televised commercials in between Netflix, and even in this moment where his whole promo was cut off, it's not a good look. So I think Joe Hendry is going to show up on SmackDown. So that leads into Monday Night Raw at Madison Square Garden. Solo Sikoa versus mystery opponent is also scheduled to happen. Now, what do you think about this? For Solo, I do not want to see, and I love him, but I don't want to see Jimmy Uso. Jimmy versus Solo, we have seen all that, the MFTs and Jimmy. I don't need that. I love Jimmy. Jimmy should, by all accounts, be in War Games because it makes sense with Jay and everything and the vision, but I don't want to see that matchup. This is an opportunity to highlight different stars. Solo versus Matt Cardona, I could see them doing that. And you could give, like, Solo can get a protective loss. You could get the MFTs out there. You could do a lot of different things, but Matt Cardona showing up in New York and Madison Square Garden would be massive for him. And the commentators will be able to highlight the history of Cena and Matt Cardona. Long Island Ice Z. It'd be great. And a little Zack Ryder in there. Solo could lose. Doesn't hurt him very much. He's got his MFT stuff going on. Solo's okay. Now, if it isn't going to be Cardona, could it be Obafemi? If you bust out Obafemi on Raw in Madison Square Garden, you are trying to make him in a main roster debut. Is Solo the right opponent for that? I think Obafemi's massive. I think you almost need somebody somewhat smaller than Solo to just decimate, but maybe not. Solo is someone who could eat a loss. And if you had the MFTs in there, Obafemi could come out and decimate the MFTs as well. And then it would just look like destruction, and you've built somebody instantly. Those are kind of my two picks right there. The one match, though, I am super excited for. And you tell me what you think, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, if you can, hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way. Hit the like button, because it exposes the channel here. Not in a dirty way, but in a fun way. And I guess it's just kind of on the YouTube, and everybody goes home happy. Gunther versus Javon Evans, Madison Square Garden. Gunther returning after several months being away, and he's in this tournament to go after Cena. Presumably, if Cena doesn't drop the belt, the IC title once again. And the rumored final match is supposed to be, according to news outlets and everything, in December, Gunther versus John Cena. So let's back up for a second here. Gunther versus Javon Evans. This to me, and we've seen Javon Evans on SmackDown, and he stood out, and he has gotten over. This to me is Javon Evans' big moment. Gunther can go up against multiple opponents of different sizes and put on hard-hitting matches. Gunther returning is a big deal. That means he's going to be here for the long haul. And I think that for Javon Evans, this is his moment to get to main roster. I know he's involved in stuff in NXT still, but you got to get this guy to main roster. You want young, hungry talent that the crowd can get behind. This is it. This to me is Undertaker, Jeff Hardy ladder match on Raw. That kind of thing. It's not for a title, but it's to get to a title. And I don't think, again, like I compare Hardy and Taker, because Jeff Hardy's popularity as a single star was booming right there at that period. Taker was undisputed champion. Javon Evans going up against Gunther is such a great matchup in my eyes. Give this thing 20 minutes and let Javon Evans get close to the victory. Big, dominant, nasty heel in Gunther. He's angry about losing the world title. He's been gone for a long time. He's going to be motivated and angry and all that. I need Gunther to be vicious, power bombs, just decimating Javon Evans, but Evans getting a lot of hope spots. I think Gunther wins, and I think it'd be the right thing to do. Sure, I would love Javon Evans to go off and win the IC title, and maybe they will do that. Maybe they get a victory over Gunther, and Gunther is just enraged because he keeps losing, and somehow, some way, Javon Evans gets the victory. I'm here for it. But I just think for storyline, you give Javon Evans that near victory in Madison Square Garden, the crowd is going to get right behind him, and they're going to want to see him the following week to then get into a program, and he's established on main roster months later. Just get the guy going. And I do think that ultimately they do want Gunther moving on in this thing. Now, with all the mystery opponents, and if you do have somebody like an Obafemi showing up and winning, if you have Javon Evans showing up, like we know he is, if he does win, I mean, you could end up with Javon Evans, Obafemi potentially in a finals match to then get to John Cena. If they really want to put a rocket on somebody, I mean, it would be one of those two guys, and I would love to see it. Then they get the Intercontinental title, assuming that they want to hold on to that IC title all the way to December, which I say that all the way, but it's literally a month away. Then you have somebody brand new. Now, I think that there was some reports. Again, I was on vacation, but I was trying to keep up with the news a little bit. I've heard rumblings and reports, at least online, so whatever, that Cena has requested to make Saturday Night's Main Event with a lot of showcasing younger talent. Established main roster stars versus younger stars. I would love it if it was a Javon Evans or an Obafemi winning the IC title from Cena. Cena goes out on his back, puts over somebody brand new. You can establish somebody right away as Intercontinental Champion, and it just puts a rocket on them, and off they go. Somebody like Obafemi would be cool because he's just massive. But Javon Evans being that, really big underdog going up against Cena, that'd be a great way to establish somebody new. Now, so the other thing is, and those are kind of my picks for the finals. I know Gunther's kind of sitting there. If Javon Evans doesn't move on, I still got Gunther just moving on into that final spot. I just don't really want to see it because Gunther's had the IC title, longest reign. He broke the record. Why does he need to go after it again? Why does he need to get the belt again? Unless he's going to get into a program with somebody like a Javon Evans after the whole tournament. Or does Cena win? Does Cena get all the way to December with the IC title and retain? Because if they do that, I'm not against it. Cena wins as champion, and then he vacates the belt. We could start a whole new tournament. You could do something fun. What about War Games? War Games is coming up real soon. Do you have John Cena inside War Games? In my eyes, you do. He has no match scheduled yet, and it doesn't feel like a one-on-one match with anybody right now because you have this tournament going on that you're just going to throw him out there for whatever match in San Diego. I think you do put Cena in War Games. He helps out Cody and Punk and Jey, and you add in Cena, and then you got a fifth man in there somewhere, or they can do the 4v4 War Games. On the other side of War Games, you have the Vision and Logan Paul. Logan Paul, John Cena have issues. There's all the rumors of Brock Lesnar being added into War Games. If you add Brock in there, you got Brock and Cena, and they can close that chapter. Maybe Cena actually gets a victory over Brock Lesnar inside War Games. They could build it that way, and that way he's checked that box off too. I see Cena going into War Games. He's with the good guys, people that he's feuded with already, like Punk and with Cody this year when he was a bad guy, and now it's redemption. He's on the good side too, and he's champion. So then you have Punk as champion, Cody as champion, Cena as champion, all going into War Games. I kind of see that for Cena, and it's War Games. It's the one time only he would ever do that in his career, so why not put him in there? It's a star-studded match. You add Brock, you're kind of good to go. I'd love to know your thoughts on who's winning this tournament, who's taking the IC title or not taking the IC title. Drop it below. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. See ya.